Hi there, friends. Welcome to my porch on this gorgeous October morning. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about survival mode today because you can leave your horrible, toxic job and you can change your diet and reduce your stress and get better sleep and spend more time doing the things you love, and you can convince yourself that you're finally healing and you might still be living in survival mode. I know because that's where I've been lately. I took the leap last December and I left corporate healthcare. It was a horrible environment, even though it was remote work. It was draining the life out of me. It paid well, but it was just killing my soul. So I left and I took several months pretty much off, and I traveled and I stayed home and gardened and wrote and made videos and spent time with my family. And it was a really wonderful sabbatical. And now I'm teaching nursing at a much lower pay rate than I was making before, but I am really finding it rewarding and meaningful. I live in this quiet old house in this quiet small town historic district. I have my dogs and my adult kids live nearby. My life is peaceful. It's when I step outside myself and look at it from an outsider's perspective, I've really got everything that I ever wanted. But somehow I still wake up in the middle of the night in a panic, feeling like I'm forgetting something. My mind races, my body's tense, and I just can't shake the feeling that something's about to fall apart, even when everything is fine. So that's what survival mode does. It keeps you braced for impact long after the danger is gone. It's not just stress, it's conditioning. You've learned it. Maybe you've learned it from burnout, maybe from a traumatic childhood, maybe a mixture of the two, like me. Maybe it was just ingrained programming that makes you an overachiever. But today I want to share 8 real signs that you might be living in survival mode, even if your life looks calm on the outside, because you can't heal a body that still thinks it's living in a war zone. Sign number 1. You can't relax, even when nothing is wrong. You finally sit down at the end of the day, but your mind won't stop racing. You scroll, you clean, you check your emails, you do anything but rest. Stillness feels unsafe because for years you were just waiting for the next blow. And so even now you try to stay one step ahead all the time. I can so relate to this. That's survival mode. That's your body trying to equate calm with danger. So when life actually slows down, you subconsciously create more chaos just to feel normal again. You volunteer for one more project. You start cleaning the house at 10 o'clock at night. You open your laptop when you promised yourself you were done for the day, because sitting still just doesn't feel right. You tell yourself that you're just being productive, but underneath that drive is something else. It's a kind of restlessness that doesn't know what to do with quiet. Quiet means there's space, and space means that your thoughts and feelings might have room to rise to the surface. And sometimes that's terrifying. So you stay in motion. You call it drive or work ethic or ambition, and you say, that's just the way I'm wired. That was me. I've said that so many times. But what it really is that it's a nervous system that doesn't yet feel safe enough to rest. If you've ever caught yourself saying, I just like staying busy, look a little closer. Busyness might not be ambition and drive. It might be avoidance. You might be avoiding sitting still with your own thoughts and your own discomfort. Sign number 2 that you might be living in survival mode. You don't trust good things to last. Something finally goes right. Maybe your finances stabilize, or you fall in love, or you get that job that you wanted, and you find yourself waiting for the other shoe to drop. You can't even enjoy what's good because you know it's temporary. That is survival conditioning. It's what your nervous system does when your past taught you that safety does not last. Even joy feels suspicious. It's like you're being set up for disappointment. Something good might happen. You finally get a break. You finally sign a lease on that rental property you've been dealing with. You might finally resolve a problem that's been nagging at you for a while. Instead of relief, you feel a strange kind of tension in your chest. Like, okay, what's going to go wrong now? You might tell yourself that you're just a realist. You're just being realistic. But what you're really doing is bracing yourself for something to go wrong. I didn't feel this right away when I first left my job last year. At first, I really felt free. Those first few months were peaceful, almost euphoric, honestly. But lately, I've started putting more things back on my plate, and I've started to notice it again. The hum of tension underneath everything, that sense that even when things are going right, I can't quite fully exhale and relax. Like my brain has finally slipped back into standby mode for disaster. It's strange because part of me knows that everything is fine, maybe even better than fine. Maybe everything is spectacular. But there's still that little voice in the back of my head whispering, don't relax too much. Something is bound to go wrong. It's like my body remembers the chaos more than it remembers peace, even though I've had way more peace than I've had chaos. And instead of trusting the calm, it just treats it like a setup. It's a trap. That constant bracing steals every ounce of peace from the present moment. You can be sitting in your favorite chair with a cup of tea or coffee, and the dogs could be at your feet, and the house is quiet and peaceful. And instead of soaking it in, you're just mentally rehearsing your next crisis. That's survival mode in disguise. I always said, I'm a Girl Scout. I like to be prepared. But being prepared for a catastrophe all the time is not any kind of way to live. Not when you're trying to heal and trying to live a peaceful, calm life. Sign number 3, you minimize your own needs. You apologize for being tired. You say it's fine when it's not. You feel guilty asking for help when you need it. Although you're willing to jump in and help anybody who asks you with no second thought. This one runs really deep for a lot of us, especially women and caregivers or anybody who grew up having to be the responsible one. A lot of us oldest daughters. You've learned early on that the less you needed, the safer you were. So even now, in adulthood, you shrink your needs to stay easy. Yesterday morning, I went to a nail salon to get a pedicure so my feet would look nice for my son's wedding this weekend. And the young man was really going to town on my feet with that cheese grater. And he scraped some skin off the ball of my foot. And I kind of instinctively said, ow, and pulled my foot back. And then the rest of the time, and he was very apologetic and just mortified that he had done that because he could see where the skin flap was hanging off and it was starting to bleed underneath. And you know how when you first get a cut, especially a really shallow cut, with all those little nerve endings and you get it wet, you know how it burns? The rest of the time, I was sitting there trying to be stoic with my brain screaming on the inside, ouch, because it burned like fire. And I did not want this young man to feel bad, so I sat there quiet and let him finish the pedicure. And my toenails look really great, but now I have a Band-Aid on my foot. That was just an example of how I was trying to be easy, even though I really kind of needed some attention. You might call it independence, or you might call it being easy to deal with. Oh man, I just remembered my corporate healthcare job a few years ago. We had some, there's always the company values and they change every few years, but for a while one of them was easy to do business with or easy to deal with. So it was the way that the company tried to force employees to be agreeable and to feel guilty if they weren't agreeable or if they didn't agree with something that they saw that was not right. I just thought of that. But when you've spent a lifetime being the responsible one, being the caretaker, being the strong one, you might find it hard to recognize when you're neglecting yourself. You tell yourself, I'm fine, I can manage, and you think that it's noble to not need any help. But underneath all that is exhaustion, the kind that seeps into your bones because you've spent years carrying the weight of everyone else's discomfort while ignoring your own. But your needs are not a burden. They are the most human part of you. That's a message that survival mode never got, because survival mode only knows how to keep the peace, keep you functioning, and not let anybody notice when you're struggling. It will always whisper to you, don't ask for too much, as if love and rest are luxuries instead of basic human necessities. Sign number 4, you gravitate towards chaos, even when you're like me and you hate drama. If things are calm for too long, you will find a way to stir things up, whether that's a new project, a new crisis, or a new person whose problems you need to fix. If things are falling apart, even if it's not your mess, you know what to do and you will swoop in and try to fix it. And it's not because you want drama, it's because chaos feels familiar. And you may truly feel like you're here to save people from their own problems. And you've got peace and space on your calendar, which feels lazy and unproductive, so why not jump in and help? That was me for years, always fixing, managing, rescuing, staying in motion, never sitting still. But this year I have made great strides in learning to be still and quiet. Although right now you wouldn't know it with everything that I've got going on. Sign number 5, you numb out instead of feeling. This one might hurt a bit, friends. You will probably find yourself in something I'm going to say here. It might be laying in the bed scrolling your phone until midnight. It might be snacking when you're not hungry. It might be pouring a glass of wine every night to unwind. But what you're really doing is disconnecting. For me, it's a snack way too late in the evening and a Netflix binge when I should be writing and meditating and taking care of myself and going to bed early. And I totally recognize it for what it is, numbing out. If you grew up in an environment where your feelings weren't safe, your brain learned to shut them down as fast as they appear. And for me, as a child, I learned to use food as comfort. And then later, it was a lot of other things. And now I'm back to food and mindless Netflix binges. So now when you feel sadness or sometimes even joy or even just overwhelm or anxiety, you distract yourself with something because it's uncomfortable to sit with those feelings. That is survival mode in real time. Your brain is saying, don't feel it, just get through it. Here, these snacks will help. Healing will start when you let yourself sit with those feelings and not run away. When you realize these emotions can't kill me, and if I don't feel them, they're going to keep coming back. All right, sign number 6. You feel responsible for everybody else's emotions. You sense tension before anybody says a word. You notice the tone in someone's text message, or you imagine the tone, and you start to wonder what you did wrong and why they're angry with you. And you step into fixer mode before anybody asks for help. Oh my gosh, I do this so much with my adult children, and I'm getting better, but I've noticed the impulse to keep doing that. And it's not intuition, it's hypervigilance. When you grow up walking on eggshells, are managing other people's moods all the time, you learn to scan for danger in every situation. So now, even as an adult, you can't relax until everyone around you is okay. You mistake keeping people calm for keeping yourself safe. But someone else's discomfort isn't your emergency to fix. Someone else's silence doesn't mean you've done something wrong. You've got to remember to tell yourself, not my circus, not my monkeys. I've started to do that even with my own adult children. I'm finally learning to trust them enough to let them fix their own problems. That's what freedom starts to look like, letting other people have their emotions without making it your job to fix them. Sign number 7, you can't tell the difference between peace and emptiness. When life finally slows down, it feels weird. You say you want peace, but when you finally get it, you feel bored or restless or maybe even sad. That's because survival mode runs on adrenaline. When the danger's gone, your system crashes, and it might confuse the crash for emptiness. You start thinking something's missing, and you start looking for new goals or new drama or new problems to solve. You hear that fire truck? I live a block from downtown and the fire station and the police station and town hall and the post office and all those things. I hope it's a false alarm. Anyway, back to peace. If you've never had it before, it might feel really uncomfortable at first. It might feel like emptiness. But the goal is not to fill it up. The goal is to rest inside it and start to tune in to that little voice, that still small voice inside, and to start to differentiate the small, still voice from the nervous system that keeps screaming at you to get up and do something. This year I've been learning how to sit still and savor the peace, and how to sit with discomfort and not rush to fill it. And I'm not perfect, and I still numb out sometimes, and I still try to fill my time sometimes, which I've done lately, but I'm noticing it now. I'm starting to learn how to let the quiet stretch out and notice what it brings up instead of trying to escape it. And something beautiful is really happening. The learning to savor that, the learning to sit still with myself without my phone in my face or the TV on or some food and snacks in my hand, to just sit in the quiet and feel what I'm feeling. I used to have such intense FOMO, always feeling like I was missing out if I wasn't out doing and achieving and producing. But now I'll choose a quiet night at home over a night out almost every single time. There's something really sacred about that kind of solitude. The kind of solitude that isn't lonely, it's just peaceful. The kind where you finally realize that nothing is missing. That the quiet, the calm, the simple evening with your own company, it is the life that you were trying so hard to earn for all those years. Sign number 8, that you might still be living in survival mode, is that you don't feel safe unless you're in control. Has anybody ever told you you're a control freak? Or have you ever called yourself one? Because you know that if you're not controlling every little thing, every little aspect of a situation, it feels really stressful. That's me right now with this upcoming wedding. And over the last few days, I have let a lot go because I had to. And it's going to be great. There was absolutely no reason for me feeling that way. It was just because I wasn't doing it all. In the past, you might find yourself being the planner and the director and the manager, and you're the one that prepares everything, and you're the one that's double checking to make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Even in everyday life, you might double check the stove and make sure somebody took the trash out, and you might be the one getting the mail. You might be double checking everybody's schedule to make sure that everybody knows where they're supposed to be. You might be even trying to control other people's relationships because you want it all to go right, and you don't trust that anybody can be as vigilant as you can. You convince yourself that if you can keep all the plates spinning, everything will be okay. But that is just the illusion of control. And do you know what that is? That is the nervous system's favorite coping mechanism. When the world felt unpredictable or unsafe, control became your armor. But now it's your prison. You can't relax because the moment you do, you're convinced that something is going to slip through the cracks or that somebody's going to drop a ball. The truth is, you'll never feel safe because you're in control. You'll feel safe when you believe that even if things go wrong, you'll be able to handle it. That's trust. That is your nervous system being regulated. That's freedom. Just letting go of control and knowing whatever the outcome, you'll be able to handle it. If you recognize yourself in any of these 8 signs, you're not alone and you're not broken. You are not dramatic. You're not too sensitive. You are just somebody who learned to survive in a world that didn't always feel safe. And now you're learning how to live. Survival mode doesn't shut off overnight. It unwinds slowly in quiet moments when you let yourself rest without guilt. When you say no without apologizing. When you let good things stay good and you enjoy them while they last. When every time you notice that you're bracing for impact, you choose to unclench your teeth and relax your body and let yourself believe that you're safe now. So those are 8 real signs that you might still be living in survival mode. If any of those resonated with you, I would love to hear about it down in the comments. And if you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content on midlife reinvention and healing and travel and finances and work and whatever else I feel like talking about. I'd really appreciate it because if you subscribe and hit that like button, it's going to help my channel grow so that I can continue to bring you these videos. Thank you so much for watching to the end, and I will see you in the next video.